Hello everyone, I am Crash Knife Fight, and welcome back to my series on how to be a better teammate. For the next several videos, I will be discussing some ways to enhance your team play with the individual trooper classes. And to get the ball rolling, I am starting off with the officer. The developers intended the officer class to play a support role in BF2, but from the time of launch until a few months ago, the class's star cards, abilities, and blasters made it a battle point siphoning murder machine in Galactic Assault. Most players selected the officer knowing that it was the quickest way to earn battle points en route to grab a hero or villain. More recently, however, the developers have tweaked the officer to help bring it in balance with the other classes. Regardless, it is still a very useful class. So let's talk about a few ways to get the most out of your officer. Every class has unique abilities, but none have as many as the officer that extends their benefit to their teammates. For starters, the officer's command ability is a great asset to help keep you and your team in the fight. Personally, I feel that the recharge or improved battle command is much more valuable than the blaster command. I would much rather have a teammate offer me more health or take my abilities out of cooldown than reset my blaster's heat buildup. I suppose it has some value, and maybe more so for the individual using it, but the other two are just head and shoulders above it. Mostly, I go with the recharge command because I can keep my abilities in a state of rapid cooldown, and in many cases have 2 flash grenades ready to go at any time. Moreover, this is a great ability to use on your team's heroes, villains, and reinforcement classes. If you have ever played as an enforcer or a hero and had an officer nearby hitting you with the recharge command, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. The recharge command or improved battle command should always be in your kit. Another team-oriented ability is the squad shield, but it is one that tends to infuriate me by the way teammates choose to use it. The squad shield is really valuable when your team is attempting to interact with an objective or attempting to move onto an objective. It tends to be a much more useful tool as an offensive device rather than a defensive one. Too often I encounter teammates that randomly throw down a squad shield when our team is defending an objective, which often blocks the line of sight on enemies. Seriously, if you are playing as the clone army and you throw down a squad shield in one of the hallways leading into the palace on Naboo, delete the game. Not only will that shield prevent your teammates from melting the oncoming enemy with blaster fire, or make grenade throws incredibly awkward, it creates a buffer allowing the opposing team to get that much closer. Reserve the squad shield for interacting and overtaking objectives. One of the other most useful abilities in the officer's repertoire is the blaster turret. A lot of players, however, do not employ the turret to get its maximum effect. Try to drop your turret where it has good line of sight on approaching enemies, but not out in the open where it is an easy target. Also, deploy it where you can stay nearby to continuously repair it. If you use this tactic in conjunction with the improved blaster turret star card, it makes the turret extremely difficult to destroy, and a great defensive technique. Also, the turret is great to bait opposing players because they will direct their attention towards it, and you can help clean them up with your blaster. This tactic is useful for both offense and defense. Keep in mind though that there is always some risk when standing close to the turret. If an enemy player chucks an ion grenade or launches an ion torpedo in your direction, you can become collateral damage. The rest of the abilities available to the officer are also useful, but tend to be more situational or a matter of personal preference. The disruptor can help weaken a defending team's defense when paired with a good flank. It is certainly one of the more frustrating abilities to encounter. The homing shot and diffuser, I'm sure they have their uses, but I can't recall ever using them, and they certainly do not seem more valuable than a flash grenade. Above and beyond the abilities, no doubt, the Officer's Presence is the most used star card by players. Officer's Presence allows nearby teammates to start regenerating health quicker, but honestly, the card is still used mostly for farming battle points. For the officer class, being a better teammate is not just about abilities and star cards and choosing how and when to use them. As a support class, the officer makes the most of their abilities when staying near other players. The officer is certainly more than capable of going at it alone and getting some nice kill streaks, and there are even some situations when peeling off for a flank and setting up your blaster turret on some unsuspecting enemies is the best tactic to use. Nevertheless, when the battle heats up and the concentration of force is needed, keep close to the other players, particularly heroes and enforcers that can make the most of your command ability. One final and more general point to make. A good team should have a mix of trooper classes. If everyone is playing as the officer, you're doing it wrong. If no one is playing as the officer, you're doing it wrong. Assess the needs of your team and try to keep it in balance. Select a different class the next time you respawn if you see a need. That's all I got for now. Remember to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will be back soon with new content.